Hello and welcome to Gotham Outsiders presents The Better Cut, our movie episodes. Screaming, just let me be happy at a gravestone, I'm your host, Chris, a bat obsessive, and drawing Joker smiles on a photograph, my co-host TJ.
Hello, everyone. I am your Chris-proclaimed Batman acolyte.
But we are not grappling around the city alone. Oh no, of course we aren't. We brought on a guest today, Mark Perez, one of the hosts of the amazing and our rival Pink Milk After Dark podcast.
Hey, hello.
So Mark, why are we rivals?
Well, I remember there was this conversation with Brian that was going on at the time, and then Brian and TJ were kind of having this like cute little like interaction, and then of course I had to put my 2 cents in because God forbid I shouldn't. And
and then you and I had a GIF war briefly going.
Yes, with like Wolverine and like all these little characters.
I remember specifically Chris said to me, I want a podcast rival and for it to be Star Wars, because we were saying what fandom is more toxic, DC or Star Wars. This would be so funny.
We started we started the rivalry by doing a poll asking which fandom is more toxic, and it was like exactly even, like 50-50. And we were like, well, we just got to start drama. Who are we going to start drama with?
Right. And I was like, well, I
of course, speak my name, and then I appeared.
Yes. Like there might be a gay Star Wars
I felt
podcast.
the disturbance in the force. I was like, wait a minute.
You were summoned.
So what do you think? Do you think your fandom's more toxic or is ours?
These last few weeks have proven that we're in the lead, and it's pretty bad.
It's I don't know. DC will come out when you least expect it.
Yes. Although I should say, I mean, because obviously you guys have had there's been a big release this week as well too, so there's been a lot going on. I mean, I guess it just depends on what's going on, because where we should be happy that there's new material out there, all it does was fan the flames, and then we get new drama. So
of course, yes, as we're recording this, the namesake of this episode has just come out, the Snyder Cut.
Yes.
It has loomed on the horizon, and it has come.
And Mark, tell us about Pink Milk, a little bit about your podcast.
All right. Well, Pink Milk After Dark, which is what we do on Friday evenings, is me, Brian, and Emma, and we talk Star Wars queerly. And it stemmed off from an idea from when Brian did these roundtables over the summer this last year, when we were knee deep in COVID lockdown, and he wanted to do Mandalorian roundtables. And so he asked me to come on board, and I was shocked at first. I was like, oh my God, I don't think I've ever done a lot of like queer podcasting. It's like I feel weird that I'm actually going to just be able to be myself, right? Not that I've not been able to, but just there's a certain freedom there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And these roundtables just started off, we were talking about the show, but then people just started sharing their stories and everything, and how they associated it with themes that were going on in the show. And before we knew it, there was just little family that grew out of it, right?
Aww.
And I loved it. It was fantastic. And then eventually Brian asked me, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. And he said, I would love for you to come on board to do it. And like, at first I was like, it's a video. It's like, do I want to do this? Do I want to put myself out there like this? I was like, and then I was like, just do it, right?
Yes.
And I mean, I don't regret it at all. It's been so much fun. And as Emma, Brian, and I get to know each other, and we get to know our guests and everything, and we go through all these different themes, whether it be the movies, whether it be the shows that are going on, or if we're talking about fanfic, which that turned out to be a really good episode actually.
Yes.
That was a lot of fun. But it's just cool coming up with all these new themes, and just everything's being seen through a queer lens, and we just also are there to learn, because we don't know everything. And so again, while we have guests who come on who share their stories, we get to learn from them, and I love that. It just brings more awareness and more representation, and not that we're there to like be the complete voice of queer fandom, because that's not it's just our little corner of the world and what we like to share. So
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys are like the perfect rival for us because like everything you just said is what we're trying to do. But
Right.
you've done it a bit more successfully so far.
yes.
But like that's a
Aw,
major
Yeah.
compliment
I
to all of you though.
I
Yeah.
very much doubt that because I've seen your guest list so far and my jaw was dropping and I'm like, these folks want me to be on because
Oh.
why? I was like,
Oh, you're awesome.
I was just like, I'm seriously, I that's why I almost wanted to come on and put my name as Batmite just because then I knew my place coming on board here today. So
I mean, you could be our show's official Batmite. We will allow
Okay.
this.
yay. Okay, cool.
Aw. Well, your podcast really does feel like a family. I get that
Yeah.
vibe just listening and feeling a part of it.
Yeah.
And you are now a part of our outsider family as well.
Yay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do really feel like these shows exist to like reclaim a part of fandom, and I love that.
Yeah.
For
Exactly.
sure.
It's like I went back and listened to some of the stuff. Now I know that Batman is asexual. Things have
Yes,
changed
thank
as far
you.
as the way I see it all. It's a lot has changed since they're listening to the show. It's like-
Good. We're definitely not totally leading you astray on what's actually happening in canon. We are very accurate.
All right.
And Mark, why did you pick Batman Mask of the Phantasm to talk about?
So check this out. When this film came out, it was in my 20s, right? And such to show you my age, because I'm a lot older than you folks. But I was a little preoccupied with getting out and about. I was newly out, so I was out there, going to the club, meeting boys and stuff. So I was a little distracted, and so I missed, like, I would dip in and out of the animated series, but then by the time this film came out, I just completely missed it, right? And I
Yeah.
didn't watch it for a very long time, and I thought, well, it's time to really just sit down and watch this and like give it, because the other one I'd seen was at the Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, which I absolutely love,
Yes.
but I didn't want to do that one because I was like, well, that's too easy. You already know that one. I want to challenge. I want to do something that I hadn't seen, and I'd heard so many good things about this that I was like, okay, you just need to bite the bullet already. And I figured I would check it out, and I loved it. I sat down with my partner to watch it because he's actually watched a lot of like DC animated stuff. Like he's
Yeah.
gone through stuff that like he's left me behind at this point.
Oh.
But when I told him, oh, we gotta watch this, and we did, and he was like, oh my god, because that was really good. I was like, I can't believe I waited that long to watch it.
For
So
sure.
shame on me.
So you just watched it for the first time recently?
Yes, and I mean it plays really, really well. It is pretty timeless, and I'm just amazed at what like I saw in it, because there's just so many cool things going on, and not just obviously from the actual movie itself, but just all the voices that are involved and the music and everything, and the fact that this movie only came out like a year into the series or so, right? Like it hadn't even been out that long.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big bold leap to like put this out there in theaters, and I saw that it didn't do that well, but it's just once it like hit video or like was out for a while, that's when like it really caught on.
Right. And now it's like pretty infamous as many people say the best of the Batman movies.
Yeah, I've heard that
It's
a lot.
fantastic.
Yeah. This is TJ and I's first time watching it as well. So
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought it held up pretty well.
Yeah.
Wikipedia excuses the lack of income at theaters due to a sudden decision to release it in theaters, and apparently there was a lack of marketing.
Oh, interesting. Huh.
At
There was
least
a lot of that.
according
They did that to
Wikipedia.
Iron Giant too, and look at what happened
Yeah.
with that. It
Ugh.
would take many years for that to take off, and now it's
Full
you know,
classic. Yeah.
epic.
Yeah. I would love that movie.
Right.
Yeah.
And now it's HBO Max. That's where I watched it. Check it out now.
Yes.
And talk about it with us.
I really liked it. I would say, I don't know that I agree it's the best. I feel like people have really sold it as like, this is the one that's going to like knock you down and, blow your mind.
Mhm.
And I'm worried that they've set my expectations a little high,
Yeah.
but it felt like a really solid, like extended episode of the show. And I love the show. So I
yeah.
was like, yeah, I'm here for it. We'll get into like bits I didn't like as much and what I loved, because there was definitely both, but I don't know that it like radically changed my worldview the way that Twitter seemed to think it was going to.
I feel like part of it is like the people that grew up with this and
Yeah.
just saw it in theaters at the time or like caught the VHS when it came out, I bet it was like life-changing from a perspective. But like watching it now after having seen everything else that is Batman that exists, almost.
Right.
Not everything quite.
I know.
But,
We're not there yet. We're not at everything level yet, TJ.
It doesn't have the same effect as it would then, I think.
Right.
But I do see why people love it. And I do think it holds up overall.
Yeah, I think so too. And obviously the voice acting, you know, most of the voice actors are from the show. They're amazing.
Like, compare it to the X-Men animated series that was out at the same time.
Yeah, I do love the X-Men animated series. I won't bridge like complaints about that. I think it's good.
It is good enough.
But the voice acting is a lot better in this. No denying. Mark Hamill's Joker is still the Joker that I pledge fealty to.
Right.
Oh, for sure.
Yes. No, he's fantastic. It took me down. Like, I was just reading about how Tim Curry was supposed to originally do it, and then Mark Hamill came on board, right? And I'm like, I just imagine what that would have been like. Because I mean, Tim Curry, obviously, he would have done a fantastic job, but just it's funny because when I found out that Mark Hamill was doing the voice, it tripped me out. I'm like, I had no idea that he could do that, right? And so,
such range.
Yeah.
I wonder if they were like taking a risk on him, because like, who would think Luke Skywalker would be a good Joker?
Right?
Yes.
Very interesting.
It is.
But what did you guys think of Andrea?
Oh, okay.
I'll go after you.
So Andrea, for the majority of the movie, was the weak point for me until the end. That said,
really?
I called that she was evil after like 2 minutes of this movie.
For sure.
I was like, first of all, as we know from reading the comments, if Bruce Wayne is in love with someone, they are evil.
Yes.
Right.
So he had to be. He had to be. Yeah, he can only love evil women. and Superman. That's it. That's all he gets.
Oh my god.
So I was just like, okay, well, she definitely did it. But her like pretend persona was so annoying to me for the part of the movie where she was pretending to be good.
I don't think she was pretending, though. I'm going to be a defender, but Mark, I'll let you go first.
I'm going to go half in the middle because I understand what you're saying. It's like, I liked her character, but I think that the frustrating thing was that while she was really good at being the Phantasm and strong and like a defend herself, but then when she like became herself, it's like, why was she acting like, I mean, I know maybe she's got to play it off like she can't take care of herself, obviously, in front of Bruce, and I get that, but I almost expected her to kind of reveal herself more and more as is equal, like she did at the beginning when she like totally like flipped him over on the lawn, and I love that about them from the beginning, and I wanted it to stay that way because I think that had things gone differently, Bruce and her could have been a team and kept going forward together, and it would have changed both their destinies. Like, and it's unfortunate because they were perfect for each other. They were absolutely perfect for each other. And that's what frustrated me. I'm like, why did they take her character this way? Like, I just think it would have just really gone a whole different way. And I know that would have, it could have became more of a what if movie as opposed to like it being like animated canon or anything. Right. So, and I would have been cool with that, you know, but it just, that was frustrating. So yeah, part of me really loves her character and part of me is frustrated with her.
Yes, I feel all of those things, but I want to let TJ go before I answer them.
No, that's fair. And like, I also had by the end of the movie, I was like, why don't they just team up? Like, why doesn't he train her? And like, they could be a team. But overall, like, from the beginning, I was like, oh, of course it has to be her. Like, she's the only person with personality that, and has like an emotional stake in this. Obviously, it's going to be her. But I felt like part of the charm was that I knew it was coming, but I still liked her because like in the flashbacks, I feel like she was genuine. And of course, in present day, like she's kind of faking it a little bit when she's with Bruce. But we were slowly finding out their relationship from the past. And I just found I was sucked into it more than I thought I was going to be. And it convinced me to ship it a little bit.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, it's like what you're saying, Mark, when she like flips him over her head in the beginning, like that is solid. The first thing we see her doing is having a somewhat psychotic conversation with her dead mom.
I
Like,
loved it.
let's be clear, it's totally normal and fine to talk to your parents' grave, but the way she is talking,
Yeah.
just a hair psychotic. And especially when she casually looks back at him and was like, oh, I wasn't asking, my mom was asking.
I loved
like,
that one.
What was all that about? I was
It's
like,
just quirky.
jeez.
Okay, so she's Zoe Deschanel in your head, not like should be an Arkham, is what you're telling me.
I love that line. I thought it was very clever, and it showed that she was witty, and I liked that about
I thought it showed that she was destined for evil because she was a little bit not okay.
that too.
Yeah. But I love how Bruce's reaction to that is like, wow, that was hot. And I was like, Bruce, you are so fucked up.
Yes, right. Well, because if you think about it, she does her mom wanted to know. It was like there's something a little Norman Bates about that, you know?
Yes, she 100%. But she's like, my mom isn't very talkative today, and I'm like, Bruce, this is not attractive. Bruce, this is a warning flag. This is a red flag.
See, I found like she was just kidding. Like, I don't know.
TJ, I'm concerned.
I was just having fun with it.
I'm not saying it wasn't fun. I'm saying it wasn't healthy. There's a difference.
Okay.
But then when they're like more together, she seems like way more sane and way less strong. And I liked her in the like crazy, somewhat violent version of her that we had at the beginning.
Now, did you guys find this romance to be in character for Bruce?
In the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had a note that was like, after reading so many comics, I was
Right.
like, Bruce
It's not,
would
right?
not, like, after just saying, they don't find me scary or they don't fear me, like, he wouldn't then be like, oh, let me go hook up with this girl. Like,
I feel like Bruce Timm very much wanted to rob Batman of all queerness in the show. If there's one complaint I have about it, I love the show, but he's very hetero in the show. Like he has girlfriends like crazy in the show, and he actually seems somewhat into them, which is what isn't true in the comics, right? Like,
see, I'm making my way through the show now. I had seen some episodes as a kid, but revisiting it for real for the first time now.
yeah.
Mark, what's your relationship with the animated series?
I just dipped in and out of episodes
Mhm.
here and there. Like I've gone back since and seeing some of the ones that obviously like stand out. And
Yeah.
I mean, I just marvel at it, the way it was
Yeah.
put together, the Art Deco look, the noir
Yes.
aspect of it all, the music. I mean, they really knew to like go with this right after the Tim Burton films and like just
Yeah.
like we gotta like hit while strike while the iron's hot, because obviously if it would have been much later it may not have worked as well.
Yeah.
But all those elements that they brought over from the film that they used for this animated version and then made it their own, because
Mhm.
it didn't have to be a carbon copy of the Burton films. It just took like some of the best elements and made this new creature that
Yeah.
it's its own thing, that now that's someone's Batman, someone
Yeah.
grew up on that, and it
That's
still
me.
is. So it just
I am somebody.
Yeah,
Me.
it's super important. I love that. I mean, and the music, I was dipping into also like the folks that worked on the music, and like
Yeah.
Shirley Walker, who had conducted for Danny Elfman. I did not know that. I was like, oh, this is really interesting. And I also found out that she wrote the complete score for one of my favorite comedies ever, The Incredible Shrinking Woman with Lily Tomlin. And I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. I was like, I
Yeah.
had no idea about any of this, but I mean, it's such a fantastic show, and it came out during an era where we still had the Warner Brothers store, and so
Yeah.
excuse me, and so it was fun to walk into one of those stores and see all the like art sales and stuff, and
Yeah.
I miss that damn store.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I love the animated series. It holds up so well. And
Yeah.
it seems to, I don't know anyone who likes Batman and hates the series, which I think is so rare, right? Like,
Yeah.
calling back to our toxic fandom conversation, it's really easy to get very like polar ideas about all the different adaptations of Batman. But
Mhm.
I've never met anyone that was like, nah, I hate it. Like, that just doesn't seem to happen.
Right, exactly. I mean, and now, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't this series also be in Harley Quinn was one of the first crossover characters? to make it right. And so I mean that in itself right there is huge. You know, even if the series had never done as well as it did, the fact that she came out of it, I mean, and just that changed the landscape. You know,
Harley Quinn and Renee Montoya both came out of the animated series.
Okay,
yeah,
sweet. That's so cool.
Queer icons,
two of them.
Yeah, for a show that tried to make Batman straight.
It kept creating
queer women.
Right, it kept creating sapphic women.
Right. But speaking of like the Tim Burton movie influence on this, like in this one we find out Joker was like mobster, gangster. Like I feel like that had to have been inspired by the Batman movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm curious what you two think of this. I didn't take that as backstory. I took that as like a thing he did one time. Was that how you also read it? Or like, I don't think that was before Joker. I think he was just doing that.
I interpreted it as like that was him before the accident, but I don't know. I guess it is open to interpretation.
I don't feel like the show, like much of Batman, I don't think the show ever gives him an actual backstory.
Right. That's why it kind of surprised me.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't think it was, so but maybe it is.
This movie was good for that. Again, like there's like what if aspects of this that like I kind of wish, like I said, I wish it would have been its own little world, because you also get not necessarily Bruce's like origin as Batman, but how he's finding that persona, right? Because he's already wanting revenge. He's obviously been changed by the death of his parents, and he's looking to find something to focus it all in on, and he hasn't found it yet. And all in the middle of this, you know, he finds her, Andrea Beaumont. Is that sorry, I keep thinking Beaumont, like one of the actors from Leave It to Beaver, and I keep thinking I'm doing it wrong. So sorry.
No, I think it's Beaumont. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Well, it's just the fact that he feels like he's like, I don't know if I can continue with this revenge thing that I've been going with, because I'm finally happy. Do I deserve this? You know, should I go forward with this? And he feels like he's letting his parents down if he actually finds happiness. And I'm like, man, this is a lot to process. I was like, this is crazy. I was like, but I love that there was that moment where he was allowing himself to want to be happy, and Alfred really wants this for him.
Yes.
You know? And that's the cool thing about it too. It's like he's just like he's that person for him. It's like, you know, I understand where you're coming from, Bruce. And he goes, but you found happiness. Don't disregard it. You know?
Yes. So Alfred and Bruce in this are perfect. I love it so much.
Right. And like back to like they could have been partners. Like he felt like he had to pick between being with her and being Batman. But like when she comes back into his life, like I feel like they could have worked it out and they could have been together.
You mean post her murdering people, they could have worked it out? Because that's how she comes back in.
I do. I feel like they could have worked it out.
Look, sometimes he
had let the Joker go.
Sometimes your girlfriend has murdered people, and you just have to deal with that.
Yeah, like Catwoman definitely has murdered someone.
That's fair. You know what? That is fair, because I'm making this joke as if I don't ship him and Catwoman.
But yeah, that scene where he goes to his parents' grave, like, it was very dramatic, but it moved me.
Yes, me too. Yes. I think that was the most emotionally resonant moment. I like how they play it where it's like it looks like he's talking to her, but then it pans over and he's talking to the graves, because he's like, I don't know if I could do both, and then it's his parents he's talking to. Oh, it was good. I think this is fun. I kept thinking of, obviously this came first, but I kept thinking of Batman Begins when I was, you know, him training and like he's still the rich boy and he hasn't like figured out whether he wants to be Batman or not yet. It kind of reminded me of that whole journey in Batman Begins.
Yeah, that's fair.
I liked it.
There was some fun guest voices on here, like Salvatore Balestra, played by Abe Vigoda. You know,
yes,
and I loved it because I mean I've known that actor since The Godfather, right? And so I laughed out loud when they showed that scene where he meets up with the Joker when he's a lot older, right?
Right.
And he says like, "Mi Cosa Nostra is tu Cosa Nostra, is su Cosa Nostra," and I thought that was like, that's hilarious on so many levels. I was like, this is so cool.
Yes. Oh, it was so fun.
Alfred had a line that really made me laugh. Well, first of all, there was some just really good lines in general.
Yes.
Alfred was like, "Are you sure you won't reconsider rugby?"
Right.
I love that.
Alfred had the most delightfully savage jokes all the way through this. My favorite one was his first one where he's like, "What do you mean, Bruce? You're the model of sanity. Anyway, I pressed your tights and put away your gas balls." He's such a delightful asshole. I love him so much.
And there's the girls in the beginning have Bruce surrounded, and she's like, "Don't say the I word," and they're like, "What's the I word?" And she says, "Engagement."
I legit was like, "Intimacy?" question mark, question mark.
Exactly.
That too.
That was the moment I wrote down further Bruce's asexual evidence. That scene where they were like, it's like you pick women that you know you can't succeed with, and I was like, sounds like a closeted ace man to me.
But I guess thinking about it now, I'm like, maybe I'm confused. So in that same scene, a redhead throws like a drink.
It's
in
a
his
totally
face?
different redhead. Yeah.
Okay. I was like, was that her?
I did the same thing for a second, but she didn't have the same voice. But yes, that is occasionally with this kind of animation, some people do look like the same person.
Yeah, like Andrea kind of reminds me of Poison Ivy a little bit.
Oh, really? She reminded me more of Vicky Vale. Wow, does he have a redhead thing? I'm just realizing. Oh, wow. Yes.
How did you guys feel about the laughing scene when he goes to visit what was his name?
The councilman.
Yes.
Oh, I have his name handy. Hold on a
Carmichael?
second. Arthur, is it Arthur Reeves?
Oh, where did I come up with that name? Yes, it is Arthur Reeves.
Okay, yes,
You're
yes,
right.
Arthur Reeves, yes. Who's played by Ellis, who we know from Die Hard. He's a total slime ball.
Yes.
That scene just like I thought
It's
it was
pure
very
horror.
well done.
It is. It's wicked. It is super wicked. I mean,
I thought back to there was an interview with the creators were talking about this, like when they had to do WB, they were not allowed to make Joker kill anyone. And so they were like, okay, what can we do that is child friendly? And they came up with the Joker gas, like that originated in the show. And it's so much scarier than if he killed people.
Yep. Yes.
Straight up, when he
Totally
is laughing and Batman is interrogating him, terrifying.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. And then, of course, you mentioned Batman Beyond before. Of course, we know that Joker gas can really affect people. R.I.P. Tim.
Yes. Ooh.
Hey now.
Oh.
That's a whole other podcast episode.
Ooh. Yeah, that's
spoiler.
That's exactly what that reminded me of. Just that reaction.
Yeah.
I mean, trying to fight through, the gas and what it's doing to you, and there's this like. There's this fine line between them being maniacal and trying to like hold it together, and then laughing at the most inappropriate things as well too. It's like it's weird and wicked. But you're right. It's done in such a way where it is terrifying. It's like I wonder if there were some like little kids who just couldn't handle it. Watching this.
It's honestly, it's scary as an adult watching it. And
yes.
I honestly probably more scary because I don't remember being that scared of it as a kid. And now I'm like, why was I not freaked out? What happened there? But it's straight up some horror movie shit. And I love it.
Yeah. That might've been my favorite scene in the whole thing.
Yeah. I think that's really fair. I also love how Batman shows up when he is all gassed up, like he is a sleep paralysis demon for this poor guy. It was so scary. I was like, wow, Batman may not kill, but he is not above psychological torture.
Yeah. I mean, like you keep saying it's horror, like it really just like you're in the point of view of him in the bed and you see the Batman shadow. It's like that kid laying in bed and the monster coming out of the closet almost.
Right.
Yes,
it was really scary. Oh.
So yes, it was an asexual sleep paralysis demon.
Her name is Chris.
That is who I am. Yes, you found out.
That's going in her Tinder bio. Oh wait, she's asexual. Never mind.
A Tinder bio that identifies yourself as a sleep paralysis demon. I can't, oh my gosh. Amazing.
What about when Andrea just drags Bruce and says, the only one controlled by their parents here is you?
I gasped out loud. She has that whole conversation with her. She just keeps one-upping him, and he's just like has no answer because he's like, I can't believe you're ruled by vengeance, and she's like, really? You can't believe it? Like, that's your whole deal, sir. Oh gosh, it's so good.
It's frustrating that, you know, when you think about it, when Andrea, like, she leaves her father for fear of like what's going to happen to them if they stick around. Because I mean, I wonder if, you know, so much wouldn't have happened if she would have not trusted her father in that way. Like, I wonder if she had stayed behind with Bruce, then we would have gotten that future between them, right? Even if they were coming after her, Bruce would have been able to defend her, right? But you know,
well, presumably he doesn't have a great track record with keeping his love interest alive, so maybe not.
Well, there's that, and then yet another reason for revenge, and you know, down that spiral he goes.
I'm just saying, when it comes to people that are his, say, family, he doesn't do a great job of keeping them alive. So I don't know. I don't know that you're safest in the Batcave, is what I'm saying.
There you go. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Oh gosh.
How do we like that? What if, like, what if she had gone to Bruce for help?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Because at that point, she already knew he was Batman, right? Like, she realized that at the grave. That was a flashback, right? I did get a little lost in that moment.
No, that was
present.
I was just about to bring that up because I was kind of confused about how she connected that Batman with Bruce. You know, he just happened to be standing.
I assume she's just smarter than everyone in Gotham and realized the very obvious identity that is very obvious. It was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, like I guess she knew him well enough and knew that she knew he had some sort of vendetta that he was trying to do.
Yeah, that's how I took it. I think that's what happened. It did seem like a very loose thread, but maybe it was just loose enough for her to put the pieces together.
That makes sense.
You know what, going back to a scene that I thought was hilarious and also weird was Bruce creeping on her date with what's his name?
Yes.
I'm like, whoa, buddy.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
I read lips. I didn't bug you.
He was so defensive. She's like, you bugged me. I read lips. Like, that's not better. Like, you were still following her, dude. Like, okay. I'm glad you have integrity. At least you didn't bug her.
Right? It's a stalker.
I mean, my biggest complaint was something you just mentioned, Chris, that like we kept going back and forth in the timelines. And at one point I was like, all right, maybe it's my fever induced from my vaccine and I'm having trouble keeping up with the timelines. But at one point I couldn't tell if we were in past or present.
Yeah. I had a smidge trouble with that. I think this goes back again. I love the animation, but they don't make him look younger at all. And so I was like, okay, are we in the past or not? Like, there was a few times when it was a little hard to pick up.
Like, at least she had a different hairstyle.
It's true.
We could have seen his different hairstyle when he had a faux hawk phase or something in college. God, I regretted it as soon as I said it.
Is this going to be in your better cut at the end, Chris?
Yes, he would have had a terrible college haircut in my version. An embarrassing haircut. Maybe a few less muscles before he became Batman. Why he had that many at that point? I don't know. Was it rugby? We don't know.
Who knows, right?
So can we talk about Joker in this? Because Joker, again, my favorite version of Joker. I'm not a big fan of Joker, but this version I will always stand. I love how he solves who Phantasm is before anyone else does. I was cracking up. Like at that point, Batman didn't know, and he just turns around and he's like, it's you.
Yeah, exactly.
The scene where the Phantasm shows up to kill the guy and he's already dead with a smile on his face.
Right?
That was cool.
And Joker's living in the like Land of Tomorrow theme park with his.
I love that theme park when they go to it like in their present time, right?
Yes.
Oh, it was
so cool. So good.
And he has like the robot maid that looks like the one from the Jeffersons,
Right?
almost.
or Jetsons.
Oh, the Jetsons. That's right.
The Jeffersons didn't have
Those-
robots in it.
Before my time.
You just changed Marla Gibbs into a robot. And it's like, yeah, Rosie. That's why she does look like Rosie. I didn't even think about that.
She does, and he is. They implied that he is banging that robot. I was like,
Right.
this is a children's cartoon.
Who is he, Lando? You know, I mean, it's like, come on.
You had to get a Star Wars joke in here.
Sorry.
He's straight up.
Accomplished.
He was like, "Hey, are you feeling the electricity?" Oh, I was in the mood, but we have company. I was like, what?
Right, exactly. And then
You
every
were
time he tries to
allowed?
get like intimate with her, he ends up tearing a piece off of her, literally. It's like-
Right? Honestly, Joker, some stuff to work through. Just
There was
saying.
one point she was like knifing the counter, and I thought for sure she was about to cut someone.
I know she tried to at the one
Yeah.
point. Oh my gosh,
Oh.
it was wild. Meanwhile, he spends the rest of the movie flirting with Bruce, which is so fun. We love it.
He does, especially over the phone.
Right? He says he is not. Oh, he's talking about Phantasm, but he's like, he's not as cute as you, Batboy.
Does
I
he offer him
know.
a reach around? Oh wait, that's the wrong
That's the
movie.
Snyder cut. That's a
What?
different movie.
Yes.
A different cut. Okay.
Exactly.
Oh,
Yes.
oh,
Yes.
purge it from my brain. No, but he does. He says several other things. Now I can't totally lost them in my notes where he's just hitting on Batman, and I love it. My favorite bit between the two of them, though, is when he's trying to fly out and he's like, if you don't come with me, we'll both die. And Batman's basically like, so do it. I'm not saying Batman has terrible self-preservation. I'm just saying if you tell him he will die, he'll probably do the thing.
And what did you guys like? Did you guys want Bruce and Andrea to work it out? What did you want from that?
Again, post-murder spree.
Yeah, like
would've
once you
been
find out she's the
complicated.
Phantasm. Yes, very complicated.
Super complicated.
Ah.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. They never brought this character back, right? She just that was
No.
it. Even though there was a little hint at the end that she was still around or whatever, because there was
Right.
that locket, right?
Was she actually on the boat at the end?
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
she
right.
was
That's right.
leaving.
Thank you. Forgot about that.
But like
Yes.
she's out there, and like the scene makes you feel bad for her because she's like, I'm alone, and like I wish this would have led into like an arc on the show where she came back and like for
Yeah.
like 5 episodes. Like apparently she does come back in a Justice League episode,
Right.
Like,
And there-
epilogue.
Is there not a Phantasm in Batman Beyond 2? It's not her, but I think so.
Yeah,
Nice.
she does. I want to say she pops up in a Beyond.
Oh,
episode.
she does? Not just the
really?
Think I was Wikipedia-ing.
Okay.
Check.
I was trying to remember because it seemed familiar, but a lot of times in Batman Beyond, it's like the character's name, but it's not the person themselves. So I didn't remember if it was her.
Yeah.
been-
Well,
been a
she would have been up there in years along with like old Bruce in that
Right.
time period. though,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, she would be. Unless some kind of time travel shenanigans happened, which frequently did happen in that show. So it could have been. Or bringing someone back from the dead, which also happened. That show was wild. I love it so much.
So looks like she only appears in the Justice League episode.
Okay.
But then there are Batman Beyond comics where she comes back and she like has a scene with Bruce, and apparently
Okay.
he wants to like get together.
Bruce, come on,
I
bud.
know, and they're old. But no, apparently in Justice League, there's like an epilogue episode, and
Oh,
Amanda Waller hires her to kill Terry's parents, but she backs out.
gosh, that's what it was. I knew she
Yeah.
had something to do with Terry. I was trying to remember. Oh my gosh. Amanda Waller, come on,
Yeah,
girl.
She felt too bad and said, "No, just kidding. I'm not going to kill him."
When even villains think that you're morally suspect, you need to look in the mirror, Amanda Waller.
Speaking of women from this show crossing over into the comics, Andrea / Phantasm is making her comic, like DC in continuity comic, debut here very
What?
soon.
Really?
Yeah, Tom
That's so
King.
rad.
Yeah, Tom King has a Batman Catwoman miniseries or maxi series coming out right now, and apparently she's going to be a villain and character in it.
Rad. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. I'm excited to see her and Catwoman in the same issue.
Yeah.
That's
She'll
amazing.
be an old flame of Bruce's.
Right?
Interesting. And can you imagine after all these years this is happening? I mean,
Yeah.
so that's gonna be really interesting, which will lead people back to this film. So
Good. Yes.
Yeah. 30 years later, and just when I thought I was done with Tom King's Batman.
Oh, I will always defend Tom King's Batman, even if it is messy.
Well, he's got me. I'll be checking that out. And the ending, like, so this isn't a problem I have with this, but she takes Joker and they vanish, and it's kind of like, well, what did she do with Joker? What happened to Joker? Did she kill Joker? And I'm like,
no, he's always fine.
Right. He's not dead. So why do that?
What happened? Yeah. It was a beautiful scene, right? Where she grabs him and the like smoke is whirling around her and him. Like it's very like well done. I don't know. I don't think that the show ever like answers what happened there.
So I'm going to make a little fanfic here now.
Yes.
Ooh,
You know that what happened at that point on was he said, you know what? I really love Bruce and I cannot be with him, but Joker, I need you to watch over him, even if it means almost killing him. But I know you love him too, so you need to keep an eye on him.
Yes.
And keep him busy so that he can get this revenge out of his system.
100%. He's the one that left the locket in the Batcave, not her.
There you go.
I love it so much.
Write the scene and put it on AO3. We'll promote it.
Right. That's good. Tag it thruple.
There you go. Totally.
I like to think she let him go because like at the end that scene just makes me feel bad for her and like I want to be on her side. And of course we know Joker lives, so like either he got away or she let him go, and so I would like to think she let him go.
Meanwhile, Jason Todd is somewhere going, even the villains won't kill him.
But like I'm a big, speaking of Jason, I like a good redemption, so like I would like to think Andrea could be redeemed, and the fact that the last thing we see of her in any of the shows is her sparing Terry's parents, like I would like to think that means okay, maybe she also spared Joker.
Maybe. Though I do get the feeling that she was more like these specific people in her mind deserved it. And so I could see her being like, what, Terry's parents are innocent, so why would they deserve it? You know what I mean? Like, I think she has a code. I just don't necessarily understand why the Joker wouldn't be included, though. Maybe because he killed the one guy. So maybe he got to live because he helped her with her revenge.
There could be that. That's true. Because remember, Joker was waiting outside, so he didn't necessarily have a hand what happened inside the house.
Right.
So maybe that's the other reason why. But even though, she, in one's revenge mind, you're going to want to wipe them all out.
Right. Right. He was in the photo. That's all she needs, right? Like, dude, I love the bit where Batman draws lips on the photo and is like,
and then you hear the laugh. Yes.
World's greatest detective, everybody.
Yeah. I didn't see that coming.
I didn't either, but I thought, oh gosh, it cracked me up when it did.
Well, like in the moment, he draws it on, and I'm like, wait a minute, are you trying to tell me that's the Joker? Because I don't know if I believe you.
And then it was.
I know.
Oh, so good. I love it. The final scene with Alfred and Bruce is another like hard-hitting emotional moment where he kneels down in front of Bruce and he's like telling him, he says this line about how you walk on the edge of the abyss, and I thank heaven every day that you don't fall in. And I was like, best dad ever.
I mean, he's just been there obviously through so many steps of his growing up and finding this person, and this persona, and then the fact that he's there and he's terrified when he finally sees him in that costume, and mission accomplished, he can strike fear in men finally, including this person who loves him, right? And so that moment was like pretty hard hitting for me. I was like, this is really, really, really interesting, and and yet Alfred is still supportive and knows that he can keep him grounded, and although I'm sure if he really had to, he would find a way to like beat his ass and
Alfred can throw down. It is established comic facts that Alfred is the last line of defense for the Batcave. When all the technology fails, he has a shotgun.
And he knows how to make turtle stew.
That was a Batman TMNT
reference.
Oh, that's right. You've been going through that series. That's right.
Yes, so
He
good.
comes down with a shotgun and he's like, "I will shoot a turtle. Don't test me."
That's right. I remember you were sharing that.
Love it so much. Alfred is just the king. There's a moment in one of the flashbacks too where Bruce is like, basically, "You're not my dadding," poor Alfred. And Alfred's like, "I changed your diapers."
Right.
So good. Being Alfred is a thankless job, and I just want to salute him and tell him he did good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you guys have a favorite scene or moment from this movie?
Quite a few.
Oh, what's your top 3?
Or see, I love seeing the Batwing for sure.
Yeah.
It's so sleek, and like I almost love it better than the one in the 89 film, you know.
Yeah.
Even as iconic as that is, I love seeing it in flight. Even though it was creepy, but I found it creepy funny, was again Bruce like peeping in on the date. That was pretty funny. That was great. And I would say the last and not least, I want to go back to that expo that they went to, and like how you get to see how, during that era, just it was like there was this optimism and mixed in with capitalism and patriotism, and it all showed in like what they were looking towards in the future.
Yes.
And it's all in that expo, just the way everything's drawn. It has a very Fritz Lang look to it too. So I just loved it, and I love that we got to see it. And then later on, that's all broken down as Gotham is like, time has passed and all that is left behind, and yet Joker still finds it to be home. It's like,
right.
His new base for this particular instance. But those would be the instances that stick out in my mind. So anyway.
I do love how Gotham dreams of a future where it looks like Metropolis. Just throwing that. They aspire to one day be as clean as Superman City.
Yeah, if Batman would let Superman come into town once in a while.
Just every once in a while. I think for me, as scary as it was, like I just loved the moment with the Joker gas and Batman being all creepy. I thought that moment was like high key good writing, amazing voice acting. I was here for it. And then all the Alfred moments, they're always going to be my favorites.
Yeah, no, I agree. That was probably my favorite scene. The laughing gas scene. It was just so well done, creepy. It made me feel all sorts of things. But I guess I really liked Andrea. Some of her lines I just really liked. Like, I know we're making fun of it, but her line when they first meet, just my mom was asking, like, it just let me know what type of character she was. And
crazy.
Like it just it gave her so much personality, and I was prepared to not care about her because, as we know, I'm not here for Batman and women. It's not my thing.
Right.
I really liked her. And so I would say just their scenes together worked for me in ways that I didn't expect them to. So if I had to pick one, that scene where she says, you're the only one being controlled by your parents here. I was like, damn.
That was savage for
that was
sure.
A slam dunk.
And how could you even argue? Like 100%.
Again, why I loved them together, because she could give him the truth that he needed, even if it hurt, and that's what again, it's like it's frustrating that like these characters couldn't be together, because I think they would have had one hell of a future together, and they still could have stopped crime. But whatever.
Yes.
I think that's fair.
Write that fanfic. And now that we've said what we like, what would we change to make this better or to our liking? A better cut, if you would.
It would be 4 hours long. No, I'm kidding.
Oh no. Lots of slow motion.
So much slow-mo. An unnecessary ending scene in the future.
I'm going to say, like, I think you mentioned it earlier, in that the transition between past and present really needed to be a little bit more clear cut. If we would have, because there were times I had a hard time following. I'm like, why did I miss that? Almost like I didn't know that we were back in the present time, so to speak. So that I think would have definitely helped the story.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I wonder, I'm trying to think what else. There was something else that stood out to me that I wish would have worked a little better. Oh, again, I think the whole with the mob and like how Joker kind of
Mhm.
like came from this, is there a better explanation of how that all
Yeah.
tied together and what happened to him in between that time? Because even just a throwaway line of like how he came to be, even though we all know, but you know,
Right.
you got to approach these stories like, well, what if I'm just walking into this? I want to know,
Right.
and give me a little backstory. So I think a little more of that would have been great, because it definitely tied a lot of those like origin elements and brought
Yeah.
them into this film. In a way, I think that's going back to what I loved about it. That's another thing I loved about it, that I felt like I was learning more about these characters when I thought I already knew all this stuff. So
Yeah.
that was cool.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I feel like with the other movie we watched for the show, it was very easy for me to go, this is what I would change. But with this one, you know, even if I didn't think it was perfect, I have a hard time thinking what I would take out or make different, other than I totally agree. I would have made it more clear by just making them look younger, maybe.
Mm,
Giving him a bad college haircut. Love it. I think I would also have made Andrea's character more consistent. So the middle
yes.
portion, she has just as much personality and power as she did at the beginning and the end. I think would have been good. Um, I don't know. I'm gonna think about it some more. How about you, TJ?
Well,
TJ is ready.
I'm ready to have a whole new ending. I'm Snyder cutting it
Oh,
over here.
we're doing reshoots. We're getting the
Yep.
actors back in.
Yes, I'm gonna continue of what we were saying. I would have liked the ending to be different. I do like the ending we got, the ending scene with her,
Yeah.
but I wanted more. So like, give me that post-credit scene where she shows up in the Batcave and she's like, I'm sorry, or Batman goes after her and is like, hey, like, you're dangerous, I can't let you be out there being an assassin or whatever you're gonna do. Like, I'm gonna train you and you're gonna be my partner and I'm gonna keep an eye on you. And like, I would want to watch that series,
Yeah.
like her being the bad cop, which would be interesting when Batman is kind of a bad cop already.
Bad
Yeah.
cop, worst cop.
Yeah, so give me the romantic, like Mr. and Mrs. Smith type
Oh, okay. I
Batman
like
show.
that.
Like, and
I
I guess
like
you
that.
could argue like, oh, there's Catwoman and they have a
Yeah.
thing, but I really liked Andrea, and I said I'm excited for that comic book, and I'm excited to see what they do with her there.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The This is my stupid thing I would have added, not a smart thing that I would have added. I would have had the future world look like Batman Beyond.
Oh.
I know this came way before Batman Beyond was conceived of, but how great would it
Still.
have been if they just
Yeah.
if it just looked like Terry's world?
You can make it like the anniversary edition and just put that in.
Right?
So.
Like when Lucas went back to Star Wars and added all that CGI.
Exactly.
Another Star Wars reference.
That was for you, Mark.
This is
Thank
too
you so
many.
much. I appreciate it.
We're terrible rivals. We're really bad at this. We're,
It's
we're
horrible.
far too
Oh,
nice to each
yeah.
other.
I meant to be meaner to Mark.
Oh, darn.
I
And he
know.
came on and he was so charming. What are we going to
Yeah.
do?
I forgot.
Sorry, you can get back at me online, so that way it's
Okay.
on like the world stage and everybody gets to see it. Okay, so
There we go. There we go.
Well, Mark, thank you so much for coming on. This has been a blast.
Yeah,
thank you.
absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, I appreciate and I love that you folks asked me on, because I was really looking forward to it. I was a little nervous, like I said, because after all the people that you've had on lately, I'm like, oh my God, what am I getting myself into? But
Oh,
I
no.
had such a fun time discussing this film, and I'm so glad that we all were new to it, because we
Yeah.
brought like
Mhm.
a lot of stuff that some of it the same, these things that we were able to discuss and
Yeah.
break it all down. And like I'm curious to see what you said about this new series and what they do with that character, because after all this
Yeah.
time that they want to do something like that, I'm in.
Yeah.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, if one of us had like grown up with this, we would have been like, actually, here's why it's perfect, and you're wrong.
Exactly.
And we didn't have that.
TJ, I could hear you pushing up glasses on your nose that you don't
Yeah.
even wear.
Yep. 2020 vision.
Okay.
Mark, where can our listeners find you on social media? And do you have any projects that they should be looking out for?
Okay, well, so you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at I am El Diablito, and of course you can find me on Pink Milk After Dark on Friday nights with Emma and Brian. And as far as like projects that I have going on, I am working on something of my own that I'm still trying to put together, and I hope I can do this. I have a move coming up soon. So I'm like, do I want to do this? And then all of a sudden go on a break. That may not work. So I'm trying to figure out the timeline here, but I will definitely put it all out there, and I'll let you folks know as soon as it's time to like
exciting.
Check
That
in
is
and
exciting.
see what's going on with me.
I love your little teaser there. And
Yeah.
when does your fanfic hit AO3? That
I have to work on that too. I'm gonna have to talk to Emma, because Emma is like the fanfic queen, and I will take my guidance from her, because she is the one. And
Yes.
like I'll have to go to her and be like, hey, I need a little help. What direction should I take this in, and how dirty should I make it?
very.
Very dirty.